Mason is off the pipe. And the second field goal for the Spurs. First of the game for the rookie 19-year-old Tony Parker.
Well, the San Antonio Spurs just have to settle down and get the pace of the game in their favor. It's been too quick. They've given up too many second opportunities. And the crowd in Seattle, they feed off of that.
Offensive foul on Brent Berry, swinging the arms through to create the space, but the Sonics have exploded here. Their intent is to capitalize on their superior athleticism, the age, and the injury factor. Major problem for San Antonio here, and this crowd is electrified.
Tim Duncan, 3 times in the game here he has gone glass. Normally a trademark Tim Duncan shot, and 3 times it's been too hard. That time he didn't even hit the rim, but a quick foul on Rashard Lewis of Seattle gives it back to the Spurs. The officials, Dan Crawford, Ted Bernhardt, and James Capers.
Lewis has his hands up and he's asking why, and see if he makes an adjustment. But they're going to double Tim Duncan whenever he gets the ball, so they got to go to Duncan, and he's got to go quickly.
Gary Payton, the glove, hounding Parker. Cut off as Baker comes to help, and he's tied up by Payton.
Wonderful step out by Vin Baker that time. As a defensive player, when someone's coming at you, make him turn his back, make him change direction. Vin Baker did exactly what he had to do, and Gary Payton then just dug it out, and now he's got a size advantage on the tip.
Rotation was great, too, because Duncan was covered up as the weak side rotated over to help.
That's trademark Sonic basketball.
Tony Parker controls the tap. And again, what they like to do, San Antonio, is get the ball into Duncan, make the pass, get the ball inside and out. But right now, they're playing out of control.
Greg Popovich has done something different. From game 2, he started Mark Bryant. That didn't work well. Bryant just played limited minutes. He's come with Malik Rose. That's going to affect their rotations as the game goes on because Rose is so effective off the bench.
Payton penetrates, kicks it back out. Anthony Mason. Long rebound. Baker had it for a moment. Last touch by the Spurs. Sonics will get it back.
Mason hit his first jumper, a long 3 from the corner. That was a heat check right there. Such an explosive player, Desmond Mason. When he gets it rolling, few players in this league can match what he brings.
I guess I said Anthony, Desmond Mason. That was Malik Rose who deflected it. And Parker's in a hurry.
Vin Baker is playing fabulous basketball.
Barry the other way. Baker the trailer. Attacking Duncan.
He should have taken that first opportunity. He went into trouble and ended up with nothing. You know, and he is a player that plays on a very fragile fault of confidence. It's going well now, but it only takes a little bit of discomfort for Ben Baker to disappear.
Smith, entry pass to Duncan. Here's the double team from Payton, but before that, Baker fouls Tim Duncan.
The exquisite footwork of Tim Duncan. As good a player as there is in the league at that spin move. Gets a trip to the line.
And let's check in with Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much, Tom. Well, as you mentioned earlier, David Robinson is back home. He's not with the team today. He is feeling much better. We'll have more on that throughout the telecast. As for the Sonics, Rashard Lewis is playing on a very sore ankle. He missed the last 10 games. He was unable to practice the last couple of days. I spoke to him before the game. He says his ankle is like a balloon. It really is his Achilles, which is bothering him much, much more now. He cannot explode. He cannot push off. Also, Vladimir Radmanovic, he's got a bad, big toe. Similar to Shaq, he is available to play. He didn't practice yesterday, but his activity will be limited as well. Tom?
All right, Jim. Were they trying to distract Jim or the free throw shooter that last time?
It's impossible to distract Jim Gray. That's a man who can deliver peak performance on command.
Many have tried to distract Jim. Smith saves the errant pass. And into Malik Rose. Right by Lewis, who got a piece of it, though, and then Duncan with the follow.
This is what San Antonio's got to do. They got to work their way back in the game, keep the crowd out of it.
What did Nate McMillan tell us yesterday? This game will not be won in the first 5 minutes. The explosiveness, that was expected. Now, can Seattle sustain?
6-0 run for the Spurs to get back in it. Payton short, rebounded by Parker.
What Parker brings to San Antonio's attack is tremendous foot speed and quickness, the ability to get inside.
Wow. He got away from Payton, who went for the steal and laid it in. This is a 19-year-old rookie who played in France before this year, who's taking on the glove, Gary Payton.
It's all started so well for Seattle. I think they've gotten a little overconfident. They've taken some real wild shots the last couple of possessions, and they've been unable to convert.
Another one, Barry. Attempted layup, goes to the other side of the hoop. And San Antonio with a chance to take the lead, and Parker gives it to him.
You know the glove. He prides himself on his defense, but he also knows this kid has got a little pep in his step, and he's got to get up on him and turn him around.
For Tony Parker, outstanding there. Gary Payton, though, does have the big Game 2 victory, and it was the defense that shut out San Antonio the last 7.5 minutes, anchored by Gary Payton, the glove, that has been the difference in giving Seattle the edge.
Bill taking color commentary to a new level. Steve.
This game has gone like the other games this afternoon. Teams have sprinted out early leads and then been challenged. And so I think it's going to be another one of those close ball games all the way throughout. Seattle's percentage dropped off dramatically before Lewis got that one.
If I'm Seattle, I back off and see what kind of outside shooting touch the Spurs have today.
Outside shooting, Danny Ferry into the game. As Tim Duncan finds his rhythm, he has a half dozen points. Ferry replacing Rose. Danny, the 12-year veteran from Duke, who hits 43% from the three-point arc.
You can't really back off and let them get their inside-outside game going. And I think the attitude is challenge them at every spot, make them work real hard for every hoop and see what they're up to.
Baker with a tough fall away. Vin Baker, the rejuvenated Vin Baker, and he is Matt Duncan with a half dozen.
Vin Baker has played terrific basketball throughout this series, and he has given Seattle a much-needed inside presence. But if you just pack it in and deny Duncan possession inside of 12 feet, see what the other guys get, and don't allow penetration and dish.
Bowen for three. Just as you say, they can't hit the outside shot, and Barry has his fifth rebound. Well, just they have over 3 minutes left. Sorry, Steve.
No. They have Steve Smith, who they've yet to get a shot, and he's their best three-point shooter, and we'll find out whether they pack it in on him as well.
Payton driving baseline to Lewis. Ball movement. Barry chases it down and saves it. Good catch by Baker, but he can't hit as the 24 goes off. Danny Ferry the rebound.
Steve Smith and Terry Porter, a couple of great veterans, have struggled with the athleticism that Seattle puts on the floor. This is a real squad here, all skilled players, no stiffs or specialists for the Sonics.
Baker falling down and called for the foul. No basket. Number 2 on Vin Baker.
Well, we've seen a preponderance of flops during the playoffs. Time to stand up and play some ball here. He was falling down before the contact even came.
This is the playoffs.
You're not going to win the championship by coming out and running underneath guys and falling down. But the 2 fouls here puts huge pressure on the rookie Jerome James.
Seattle has made a couple of substitutions. Livingston is in the game. James is in the game as well.
Tony Parker, a long-range 2. And Parker hot to open the game, the top scorer in the contest. 8 points on 4 of 6 shooting.
If Gary Payton would just focus in on shutting down Tony Parker and not worry about the steals on the big guys, the traps down, not worry about the long rebounds, he's got teammates that can do that for him.
Malik Rose has returned for San Antonio. Antonio Daniels rushing at Lewis. He got there too late as Lewis hit his second basket.
The emergence of Rashard Lewis as a budding star in this league, playing on that bad ankle, is limping noticeably, but still able to find the mid-range jumper.
Well, remember what Nate McMillan said. We all got to play with some sort of discomfort, some sort of pain, and that's what he's trying to get Parker.
Got the roll. Tony Parker, sensational in the first quarter with 10 points.
It was Tony Parker's game-winning shot that got San Antonio the big victory in the end of the regular season that ensured them this second position in the NBA playoffs.
By virtue of their Midwest Division Championship.
Well, remember what Popovich said about Parker. He plays beyond his years, got a lot of heart, a lot of courage, and he's demonstrating it here early.
And a good battle between the 2-point guards. Gary Payton now has 6 points as Baker watches from the Seattle bench. 8th lead change. Parker for 3. Oh, Tony Parker on fire. 13 in the first quarter.
You look stunned, Bill.
I am. And he's torching Gary Payton here.
Lewis for three. Can't answer. Rebounded by Tim Duncan. 45 seconds in the first.
What for one time, San Antonio. Right now, get that shot up.
Malik Rose, another flop, and Rose puts it in.
Crowd reacts, but Seattle just got to stay in there. When they fall down like that, you have no defense to cover, and the 2 points is obvious, and San Antonio now has an advantage and momentum.
It was so easy for Seattle early. They've fallen asleep here.
Danny Ferry blocked the shot, but got him with the body.
Let's see if that shirt hasn't ruined your math, Bill. 11-2 start and Tony Parker leading the way back. How many points has San Antonio scored against Seattle here in the closing 5 minutes?
My processor is not that fast, Steve.
I thought you were very good at math.
Look at Tony Parker, and Payton is now giving him room because of the foot speed, because of the quickness, and he is making him pay. He's done a good job of making the right decision, when to shoot, when to drive it, and he's kept the pressure on. 13 points. Wow, that is a sensational start.
Rashard Lewis hits 2 free throws for the Sonics, and it's a 2-point game.
It's the first playoff game in a number of years here in Seattle. I think they might be a little bit too jacked up for it.
They had the big run, 11-2 to open the game, and the Spurs kept their poise, didn't panic, and led by their rookie point guard. They're going to close the quarter apparently on top. Final seconds. Parker lost it, got a shot away, and missed it as the first quarter comes to a close. But Parker didn't do very many things wrong in that first quarter. He led the Spurs in their comeback. Wanted a foul.
The kid has toughness. He definitely has a heart. He's definitely tough, both mentally and physically, even though he's slight of body. I don't worry about that. He may play well or he may play poorly, but he's going to play hard, he's going to stick his nose in, and he's going to compete.
Tony Parker is the 5th youngest player in the NBA this season. He's the youngest starting point guard in NBA history. The point guard matchup has swung back and forth. Game 1, it was all Tony Parker. Game 2, Gary Payton led the way. Right now, the first quarter, an amazing performance by this 19-year-old player, Gary Payton. He's got to respond with some competitive greatness of his own.
Parker getting a rest. Young Parker, born in Belgium, grew up in France. His dad, Tony Sr., played at Loyola of Chicago and then played overseas. But Tony grew up in France, played soccer, saw the NBA Finals on TV and said, that's what I want to do. He was a professional in France by the age of 17. Duncan from Terry Porter, who has replaced Parker at the point, and Tim Duncan has 8 for San Antonio.
Well, one of the things that Popovich told his team during one of the timeouts was, guys, we got to rebound the ball. They were giving up too many second opportunities. Then we can run the floor. Then we can get Tim Duncan involved. They double up. That leaves Duncan on his own, and he just rolls in for an easy 2.
What a pass by Terry Porter. I love the backdoor wraparound pass like that.
Vladimir Radmanovic into the game for Seattle, missing the layup, but it comes to Payton.
Those are the kinds of plays that allowed Seattle to get out to that 11-2 start. So, Bill, since then, what's the score? 21-10?
I got a Pentium processor, Stephen. It's very fast on most calculations, but
I smell a plug for a new computer. Ferry missing the 3.
I just got a new one, Tom, and it is deluxe. Believe me.
Talk about the rebounding. The Sonics whipped the Spurs without David Robinson in the lineup in game 2. And Greg Popovich saying his players have to have more urgency on the boards. There's big Jerome James, 7'1", with his first basket.
Second chance points in game 2. The swing game so far, 22-10 edge for Seattle. Beautiful pass, Duncan.
Malik Rose and 1, fouled by Desmond Mason.
The Seattle has James in the lineup. I think he can just stand all over the top of Tim Duncan. On the other end, his last possession, he steps out. And this is a young guy who has come a very long way in an incredibly short period of time, Jerome James.
You see what a simple cut can do. Ball movement, player movement, and that's what San Antonio has to have more of. When they stand and watch, they're very easy to defend because all of the focus of their offense goes right at Tim Duncan, and there's no movement, and then they're going to have to pop from the top.
But Duncan's not the type of offensive player who goes around you. He uses just slight positioning, and James has got enough length. He may be able to impact Tim Duncan.
Payton for three will go. Tapped by Duncan to Porter. Payton makes a swipe at Duncan, splits defenders. He was fouled.
No, they're going to call illegal defensive 3 seconds.
So a defensive 3 seconds means a free throw for San Antonio.
Seattle has not even given James a chance to play defense yet. Every time Duncan's got it, they've just come down and doubled him automatically. With Duncan, you got to give him different looks every time. And with a young player like James, maybe he will have some success. But the guy is 7'2". He's got wingspan as big as redwood trees. Wears a 22 shoe. Jerome James is a player who's lost 100 pounds in the last 12 months. This guy's becoming a major player in this league.
Payton to the Seattle bench, and Tim Duncan gets his first rest. Mark Bryant is in.
You say all that, and it's a good thing they took him out because Tim Duncan wears out proven veterans. So you're saying, let him go and see what he can do. These are the playoffs, Bill.
Look, I would never take Tim Duncan out. They took him out for 1 minute last game, and that's when it all fell apart for San Antonio. They don't have David Robinson anymore. The safety net is no longer their wild shot Livingston.
But Rose unable to control the board, and the no-look pass, and then a traveling call by the Sonics turns it back over to San Antonio.
You got second units in there now, and we'll find out which one really prevails in terms of their energy and execution. Pressure by Seattle.
San Antonio had 4 turnovers the first 4 minutes, none since then. Steve Smith's first shot of the game is a three that won't go.
Seattle looks discombobulated offensively. They've taken Payton out right now. What kind of leadership are they going to get out of Randy Livingston?
Here is Livingston. Harry, an open three. And a loose ball foul called on Mark Bryant of San Antonio.
Brent Berry, like Desmond Mason, they play a lot better here at home, but Brent has a tendency to run away from his three-pointers. He let that ball go, and the minute it was out of his hand, there was no defensive rush at him. He just was already floating to the next spot, as opposed to giving himself a good balanced landing to help on the follow-through.
No. He was thinking it was in. I mean, you know, when you're running back like that, you feel good about the release.
It's best to make one first.
Berry's 0 for 4. He does have 5 rebounds. That last miss by Rashard Lewis. And here's Steve Smith right around Radmanovic, who has the bad toe, to lay it in.
I'd say I had a bad toe like that.
It looked real bad then, didn't it?
What a hesitation move by Steve Smith.
Before we come back to Seattle on Wednesday.
He was on the treadmill as well, you said. Do you expect that he will at least make the trip and it'll be a game-time decision for Game 4?
I don't think we're there yet. I think we won't know until after the practice on Monday, if he practices on Monday, whether we'll bring him out.
Okay, Peter. Thank you for the update.
Thanks, Jim.
Tom?
All right, Jim, good news for Spurs fans. And meanwhile, their team overcoming that 11-2 deficit they faced early to take the lead here, 31-25 with the ball.
We're not talking about a simple medical procedure. When you have an epidural, you're talking major health problems here. NBA basketball is a celebration of health, and that's a tough way to go for David Robinson. We wish him well.
Steve Smith had it right at the rim, couldn't put it down, but they get it back as Berry lost the rebound out of bounds.
Yeah, Smith almost got his rebound back, and so they'll get another possession. Duncan back out on the floor as Antonio Daniels and Porter man the backcourt.
Tim Duncan got about a minute and a half rest on the Spur bench. Here he is. And one for Tim Duncan.
Well, the difference, Bill, is in that minute and a half, they didn't fall apart. They've been able to extend their lead since the start of the ball game. They have now outscored Seattle 31-14.
You must have a better processor than I have, but I am stunned at Seattle's defensive philosophy right now. Who's Who has made an outside shot other than Tony Parker for San Antonio? Why are they just allowing them to drive to the hoop time and time again? Everything has been in the paint. The points in the paint numbers just must be a huge edge for the Spurs.
And Tim Duncan, who started 0 for 3, has now hit his last 4 shots and has 11 points.
Well, Nate McMillan told those guys, move the ball, move yourself, give your offense a chance. Don't be impatient.
Perry swiped it from Duncan.
And the grimace on Tim Duncan's face, he was very upset. He thought he had that one.
Then the pass broken up and stolen. Antonio Daniels all the way. Got it.
The first rule of defense is what? Stop the ball. They just spread and let Antonio Daniels go right down the middle. Big run here by the Spurs.
11-0 run that's given them their biggest lead. Payton. Sonics needed that one in the worst way. Payton in double figures.
They've only scored 6 points here in the quarter. And the interesting thing is all of this stuff is coming from the outside. You got one team that's perimeter, the other team that's right at the bucket. And percentages tell you the team that's playing close is going to win the ball game.
Well, the experience factor really paying off for San Antonio. They've been through so many of these big road games. Duncan's a type of player that can put the crowd back in its seats.
So a huge turnaround by the Spurs after the disastrous start. And beating the shot clock with a 3 is Antonio Daniels. Everything going right for San Antonio.
And with the efficiency of the Spurs offense, Seattle unable to get any transition opportunities. Duncan is just dominant on the defensive boards.
By the way, that was somebody that made an outside shot a moment ago, too.
That's one.
Daniels.
That's one. Just because the guy makes one shot. Now, first of all, he comes down the lane here on the fast break, and I don't know what Brent Berry's doing other than going for ball fakes for a guy who's not going to pass the ball. And then the ball gets swung up against the shot clock. So he makes one. How many are they going to make?
Well, now they got the lead. You know, shots are free and easy now. I mean, it's a big difference when, you know, the game is tight and guys are shooting from the perimeter. But when you're down, it's tougher for those shots to go in. You ask Sacramento how tight they were in their game this afternoon.
Tim Duncan looked so surprised to find himself wide open that he missed that shot. James misses right at the rim.
Use the glass. Make a layup, please.
That's a pretty good move by James. I mean, unfortunately, he didn't go down. I mean, don't put
the Spurs there. Malik Rose has been magnificent. Duncan with the first free throw, though. Malik Rose, 7 points and 4 rebounds already.
He is home, and he should be in his easy chair. What are you telling me?
Obviously, you've never had an epidural, Steve.
If I ever get one, I'll be sitting at home.
Just to put an exclamation point on the points in the paint, 13 of San Antonio's 16 field goals have been in the paint.
You know, and all of the energy that Seattle had at the beginning of the ball game, getting the extra opportunity, it's waned now, and now they're a little slow reacting, and now they're trying to figure out how to get back in the ball game.
And Seattle's shooting 34% on their home court, their first home playoff game in 3 years. This is a team that led the NBA in field goal percentage this season. That's just unacceptable. Another wild miss.
Mary missing and Duncan clearing.
The thing we know about Seattle is they're an up-and-down team. You never know how well they're going to play or when they're going to play right at the hoop.
Malik Rose with a follow after the Daniels miss. It all started with a Duncan pass.
But they're allowing penetration, and then the rotation, which Seattle's known for on defense. Oh,
Lewis for 3.
That's a quick shot there.
Well, but that's what their coach told them. Move the ball. Move yourself. Don't take that first opportunity. It's hard to turn it down, particularly when the opponent is stinging you every single time, it seems, with their possession.
Terry Porter with a miss. Here's Payton in front court, guarded by Daniels. And now Barry sets it up.
Where's the offense for Seattle? 27 points. There's only 4 minutes to go here.
How about that bucket? Gary Payton doing his part. He has 12.
That is 8 points here in the second quarter. That's how much of a struggle they've had. And Terry Porter is...
Seattle led the NBA in field goal percentage. They were second in three-point percentage. They were a high-scoring team. Dallas, of course, led the league. But remember, San Antonio, they have traditionally in the Twin Tower era here of Duncan and Robinson, they have always been great at shutting the opponents down
Tony Parker, the rookie from San Antonio, had a sensational first quarter. Back in the game, placing Terry Porter.
Well, Parker did his job in keeping him in the game early. Then the rest of the team got involved. Duncan got ignited, and they've been able to just pull away. Smith wide open.
Set his feet, delivered.
One of the great three-point shooters of all time, Steve Smith.
Where was the defense? Where, Bill?
They fell down.
No, he said pack it in, so they just sat down.
Somebody hit an outside shot you called for. Payton, that's a flop from Parker. Payton can't hit. Malik Rose taken away by Lewis. Good catch by Brent Berry. And now Baker. Drives on Duncan. Came up short. Duncan the rebound.
Duncan's in transition. Spread the floor. Give him a lane.
Daniels pull up way short, but right to Duncan. Wow.
It's why you have to keep your hands above your shoulders on the rebounds. Tim Duncan did, and Rashard Lewis did not. That forces Seattle into a desperate situation. I think they might need a timeout here.
15 points, 8 rebounds for Tim Duncan, and San Antonio on a 28-4 run. Baker.
That ball was blocked by Tim Duncan.
Well, every shot now is being challenged by San Antonio.
3-on-2 with a trailer. Duncan is fouled by Berry.
What a determined performance by San Antonio this afternoon.
Tony Parker, the first man to arrive on the scene to make sure Tim Duncan wasn't hurt. The rookie knows.
Duncan coming hard and Berry grabbing it right from the outside. And that's what it feels like. Wow.
And you're talking about David Robinson coming back and playing with a bad back. And the type of punishment these guys take out there, just incredible. Rashard Lewis, a quiet performance.
Danny Ferry for Malik Rose in the Spurs lineup. Vladimir Radmanovic returns for Seattle.
Well, we certainly haven't seen the Spurs come in here and feel sorry for themselves this afternoon. No painting themselves as victims.
Well, Greg Popovich wanted urgency. And despite the poor start, he's gotten urgency from his players. Payton hammered as he takes it to the rim. Blocking foul on Danny Ferry. This is the playoffs after all. I mean,
it sounded like Tom Tolbert was having an attitude adjustment in there right now. I mean, you know, he's ready to come out, re-dye his hair, put one of those shirts on.
I wouldn't want to sit next to him right now.
We've seen road teams today in both of the earlier games come out with great performances. Charlotte winning, Sacramento winning, and now we're seeing this is a blowout. I mean, this is a 19-point game here.
Gary Payton hits the 2 free throws. He's the only Sonic to score in the last 7 minutes and 40 seconds. There's the dismal story for the Seattle Sonics. Ferry for 3.
Now there's an outside.
Can somebody hit an outside shot on this team? Whoa. Do you remember Snapper?
Yeah, you know, pack it in and find out whether they got the heat check going.
But they got their offense going earlier, and now they all have the confidence in the rhythm.
Brent Berry, short. Wow. Here's Tim Duncan. 0 for 6, Berry. Hannah said he needed to score. He's 0 for 6.
He hasn't taken any good shots.
I thought I heard you say once there was such thing as a bad shot.
Oh, my.
At the rim again.
He's dancing by the glove and everybody else in white with the greatest of ease. I mean, this guy is doing better than Fred Astaire or MC Hammer, anybody else that, you know, put on those quick shoes. You watch how easily he gets by, and he's into the paint. And Gary Payton is supposed to be one of the best defensive guards in the league. Payton's saying, you know what, Nate, I need some help.
Former NBA Defensive Player of the Year, Gary Payton, the glove.
But when you're Gary Payton, you have so many responsibilities. But right now, he just got to say, I can't guard anybody else other than Tony Parker. And I just figured out, Tom, what a bad shot is. A shot that somebody else takes.
Very good. Well, San Antonio has shot 11 free throws and hit all 11. Seattle's attempted only 4. They hit all 4 of those. Berry for 3. Finally, 7th shot. Brent Berry gets one down.
And if Brent Berry and Desmond Mason can get alive and get some athletic opportunities here, but San Antonio has not turned the ball over at all. There's been no runouts for Seattle.
Well, San Antonio's attitude is to make them defend for 24 seconds, try to find Tim Duncan, and get something going, and that's what they do again.
Berry faked the pass, made a rhythm dribble, and hit an outside shot.
Well, you know, they're shooting over 50%, so we need to remind Bill of that. These guys are making shots.
Gary Payton and the rest of the team. Not much else.
Well, all Payton can do is try to find a way to get his team into the game. And hopefully he'll find someone else to start playing at the offensive end with them. He's got all of the offensive energy, 16 points here in the first half of play.
We're seeing the worst of the Sonics right now. They don't have the type of offense that you can play a half-court game.
Final 45 seconds of the first half. And again to Tim Duncan. Waiting for the double team. Missed it, came up short. On the floor, picked up by Payton. Payton leads the Sonic break, but the Spurs back on defense. Brent Berry, Radmanovic, foul.
This is the way Seattle plays. They dig it out on defense on a wild shot, although Vin Baker's got to quit flopping out there. He's already got a couple of fouls. This type of play where everybody's scrambling, hustling around, and Brent Berry, Gary Payton, Desmond Mason out in transition, and Danny Ferry grabbing the fingers. Ouch.
Done a good job off the bench with 6 points, but just picked up his third foul.
Yeah, he looks like he jammed that hand somehow. He's holding it, and the trainer's going to take a look at it.
And Nate McMillan gets Oyedezi into the game. 6'10" from Nigeria. And also in Ansu Cisse.
They got some names on this team
from Ole Miss. Yes, they don't have to tell me.
Olamide Oyejide, Ansu Cisse, Radmanovic. We haven't even seen it. Drobniak yet.
They'll hold for what should be their final shot of the first half, and in the hands of Tony Parker, who has been able to get any shot that he's wanted.
Uses the screen from Duncan, finds Smith for an open three. Rebounded by Cisse, who lost it. Picked up by Rose, blocked by Payton at the buzzer to end the first half. A first half that saw the Seattle Sonics sprint to an 11-2 lead before the Spurs, led by their rookie point guard Tony Parker and their all-star Tim Duncan.
The other guy, you always win the game.
You're preaching to the choir. You got to play offense out here. Front court for Seattle has got to come alive here.
You may have noticed the second half has started as Parker misses from outside. Rose tried to tap, couldn't get it. The Sonics with their starting five back on the court. Payton at the point with Baker, Lewis, Berry, and Mason. And Brent Berry.
Steve, you talked about that graphic between Payton and Tony Parker. I thought that Parker's numbers were more impressive because he did it at the time when the game was blown open. Payton did his after they were already down 20.
Spurs with their starting quintet. Bowen, Duncan, who missed that shot. Rose, who misses the tap. Parker and Steve Smith. There's a jump ball call.
A tremendous effort by Malik Rose to get back to this ball, and that sends Lewis to the floor with it appears to be some sort of problem with his arm.
Lewis already with the bad ankle, the sprained left ankle that was threatening to keep him out of the playoffs. He missed the last 10 games of the regular season with that injury, and now hurt here. Here's what happened.
Ball goes up, and Malik Rose is going to stay after 2 tips on his own. Oh, you got a hit before he even was in the play.
So they'll tend to Lewis. We'll take a break. Be right back.
Yabba dabba Drobniak.
Yabba dabba?
That's what they call him, Yabba.
Jump ball at the free throw line between Rose and Payton, and the Spurs control.
I thought he had the nickname of Page.
There's a big sign here that says Yabba Dabba from the action. Tim Duncan, reach-in foul, Vin Baker.
Extremely frustrating afternoon for Vin Baker.
And after he got off to a quick start.
He was phenomenal in the first 3 minutes of the game. Since then, he's just been flopping and fouling, not even trying to play defense out there. It's as if he's asking Vin Baker to have his coach take him out of the ballgame.
Where's Walton? Well, log on to NBA.com to find out where Bill will be on Monday. Follow the Where's Walton NBA Playoffs 2002 Love It Live Tour on NBA.com. Where's Walton's mind is something we often wonder. All the hustle stats in favor of the Spurs. Tim Duncan, been a force on the boards, had to be in the absence of David Robinson. Up to the challenge. He has another double-double. He led the league in double-doubles this past season with 67.
Well, the sad part of the story for Seattle, on the other hand, is that their guards are their leading rebounders. Payton and Barry with 6 each.
Parker with a fall away. Not a very good chance of that going in. And then Payton hit it last as he battled Rose for possession.
Malik Rose does an amazing job of getting his hands on a lot of balls, even if he doesn't control them. That ball went up. He came from the other side to tip it, and Payton and the Sonics couldn't control it.
So frustrating for Nate McMillan, who prides himself on doing his best in these critical moments here. And the team has just not showed up after the first 3 minutes, and Duncan will go back to the line.
You know, came to double team in the foul call.
What Tim Duncan is so clever at, and players haven't got onto it, is where he puts his arm in relationship to the ball. So he always gets his arms kicked, and that's how he gets a lot of his free throws.
See, we talked about this earlier in the season when Tim and the Spurs were playing at Los Angeles. Duncan, when he sees that defender commit with his arms trying to deny opportunities and angles, Duncan just puts that ball and his arms right into his opponent's arms and automatically gets to the free throw line.
Missed free throw, by the way, first of the game for either team.
You think he learned any of that from Karl Malone?
Whoever he learned it from, it was just terrific. And it's amazing about Duncan because of all the guys who came to basketball late, he and Akeem Olajuwon are the 2 guys who have really taken it to that MVP level.
Pass behind Barry from Grobniak. Duncan missed it.
Did you see Vin Baker there?
He's getting out of the way.
Whoa, Steve, please.
It's the playoffs.
Vin Baker has 3 fouls and 0 rebounds. Ouch.
That's been the MO for the former All-Star, that sometimes he plays, sometimes he disappears. Baker with a putback there. Nate McMillan, before game 1, told Vin, I expect you to have a great series. You're going to come off the bench in game 1. If you play well, you'll start in game 2. He did. Started game 2, but here in game 3, he has been a non-factor. Smith.
And Vin Baker in game 2 at 15 points, 10 rebounds.
Well, he got the 1. That's an offensive rebound. Let's see if he can go to work from this point on. They have got just over 20 minutes to try to get back in the game, and that's the best way to do it.
I think Vin heard you. Double figures now on back-to-back baskets.
Seattle has to stay patient on defense. Not gamble, not force anything. The shot clock is your ally here.
Bruce Bowen. And Bowen has his first bucket of the game.
Well, you know, the Spurs are loose and free now. They got the big advantage, and it's up to the Seattle Sonics to tighten them up. So they've got to make their shots come under some pressure. They've got to force some turnovers. They got to change the tenor of the game.
Baker. That one went halfway down before it rimmed out. Malik Rose has it. Number 7.
It's not to underestimate San Antonio's defense here. They're playing very solid position defense. They're not gambling on anything.
Runner won't go down for Smith. Here's Payton the other way. Parker right with it.
found him a year ago in the European Final Four, and R1G3 has arrived. First signs of life from the crowd here in quite a while.
It's an uphill climb for the Sonics. They trail 63-47. And two more added to overcome from Malik Rose, who has 11.
Now they're keeping it right at 18-16, and that's tough when you're playing and you look up and the crowd gets involved and you think, well, we're making a run, and you're not doing anything.
Both Bowen and Rose, Spurs, fell down.
Wild runner.
Blocked partially at Duncan with a pass to Parker, but the Sonics are back.
Wow.
And away from the ball, Duncan knocked to the court by Gary Payton. Number 2 on Gary. Let's go to Jim Gray.
All right, thank you, Tom. Rashard Lewis is back in the locker room here. He is receiving treatment on his left shoulder. They have some ice on it right now. We're told by the Sonics training staff that it is a badly bruised left shoulder, and his return is very, very questionable. Of course, he came into the game with a bad right ankle and Achilles. That also bothering him. So it is very questionable whether he will return. As for Danny Ferry, who hurt his right hand at the end of the half, he got some treatment at halftime, and he will return to the game. Tom?
All right, thanks, Jim. So more bad news for the Sonics, who trail 65-47.
But this game is a contrast between the work ethic of San Antonio and playing on emotions at the start for Seattle.
Drobniak hustling after the ball, fouled by Rose. Missed the shot, but stayed with it.
And the fans applaud his effort. Here's a guy, Yabba Drobniak, who in game 2 didn't even play. Comes here in the second half with an opportunity, and he's made the most of it.
He too has had a bad ankle. And Drobniak getting the call here in the second half has kind of put a little life into the Sonics as Antonio Daniels comes in.
Yeah, Bowen is going right to the locker room, so he did something to his hand on that play, and we'll find out whether it's serious or not.
Total fouls in the game, 14 on Seattle, 5 on the Spurs. Baker stopped by Duncan, jump ball.
As a post player playing against a bigger player, and Duncan is regularly first-team all-league defense in the NBA, you got to turn and face if the other guy is taller than you are. You can't just turn and expect that move to work. I don't know what he's thinking out there, Vin Baker.
Well, you know, Baker's ability down in the post is his quickness, and he's trying to out-quick a guy that's laying off of him and letting him show the ball.
You don't out-quick a guy with your back to the basket, though, Steve.
In any event, 5 blocks now for Tim Duncan. Danny Ferry had a block, but got Drobniak on the arm.
Speaking of quickness, Drobniak, it's yours.
Yaba is all over the place since coming in the ball game, which means that he wants to make an impression on Nate McMillan and get some playing time for game 4.
Well, don't forget tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern, another big NBA playoff tripleheader here on NBC. Antoine Walker, Paul Pierce and the Celtics visiting Allen Iverson and Philly. And Kevin Garnett and the T-Wolves against Dirk Nowitzki and the Mavericks. And then in the nightcap, the reunion tour continues from Portland as the Lakers take on the Trailblazers looking for the sweep. And don't forget tonight on TNT, Game 3 between the Pistons and the Raptors. The Pistons up 2-0 in that series, looking for the sweep in Toronto. That's all at 8:30 p.m. Eastern tonight on TNT.
You know, and all of those teams are fighting to get into this series. You know, the Wolves, Portland, they need a win tomorrow in the worst way. The defending Eastern Conference champ.
Tim Duncan goes glass for point number 21.
It appears to me as if Vin Baker's trying to foul out of this game.
What are you saying?
He's just reaching and slapping and grabbing and just hoping referees call it. It doesn't look like he wants to play right now.
Peyton lost it on the way up, recovered.
How's that not travel?
Yeah, it looks like it should have been a travel. I don't think the defense hit it. I think it was a travel.
Well, there have been a few missed calls this afternoon all around this.
Don't start.
Not in this game so much, but in that Charlotte-Orlando game. Yikes.
You're right on the money. Here's Daniels penetrating.
Desmond Mason comes in and thinks he's just going to be able to use his athleticism to beat you. It's a game of skill, mental competition.
Now Seattle's trying to, get a little ball movement, player movement, and Mason counters with a nice move of his own, but he has not done much today. That's his first shoot since that first shot in the first quarter.
Has he had a game or what? Tony Parker, the rookie point guard, 19 years old, on his first playoff game on a visiting court, has been brilliant as he takes on perennial all-star and former NBA Defensive Player of the Year, Gary Payton. Playoffs with Greg Popovich and the Spurs trying to regain the home court advantage and win one on the road.
One way they've been able to control the flow of this game since early in the game, Tom, was that San Antonio, they had 0 turnovers in the last 28 minutes.
Seattle, one of the better teams in the league, too, at forcing opponents' turnovers.
Where do they rank on that?
7th.
7th overall. Wow. And they haven't even been able to get one in 28 minutes from the Spurs.
Tony Parker has been exemplary this afternoon, making a lot of points, making good decisions, no turnovers. They get a 3-second violation, a rare one, in terms of a turnover against the San Antonio Spurs, who after a poor start have just run right through.
Boy, you jinxed them, and you brought up turnovers, and look what happens.
Trying to send Payton down on the post, and as soon as he goes down there, they double team him. They're going to make Seattle make some deep shots.
Mason misses, but Drobniak with an offensive rebound.
Seattle's offense seems to be based on hope and luck as opposed to execution.
Drobniak from Payton. And Tim Duncan wades in to haul it down with his 12th rebound.
What an outlet.
Steve Smith for 3. Into the arms of Brent Berry. Hadn't shot well, but he's hit the boards. 7 rebounds.
So I guess Seattle's strategy is to win it in 5 on the road, huh?
Same as Wim Baker trying to foul out. I think
you propose these theories at such strange times.
Don't they realize they sort of have to win both of these games here, Steve? Decisive game victories on the road are pretty rare in this league.
Daniels, beautiful reverse from Parker. Rashard Lewis back on the Seattle bench with ice on that injured left shoulder, severely bruised.
The way he's wrapped up, around the right arm, across his body, he's probable to stay right there in that position.
Step back by Payton won't go. Number 13 for Duncan, who hits Parker with a beautiful outlet pass in full stride, and then offensive foul.
He points to himself and said his fault. He wasn't sure what he wanted to do, when he wanted to do it, and ended up charging right into the chest of Berry. Right there, thought about shooting, now a little hesitation, and that is his first turnover of this ball game.
What we're seeing from Tim Duncan is a magnificent display of how to play a big man's role. First turnover of the night for Tony Parker to go along with it. Assist at 19 points, and Gary Payton just loses the dribble out of bounds.
And he and Parker are going at it. Payton nods and said, yeah, I turned it over, but I'm coming back at you. But, Parker's got the edge, and it's Payton's job to do everything, to defend, to score, to get other people involved, and he's only been able to score in the first half.
Spurs have turned it over twice since Walton mentioned it. Here's Tim Duncan finding Daniels.
Tough shot.
Brent Berry again on the boards.
This crowd were so hungry at the start of this game. They were salivating. They were just waiting to feast. Oh, another turnover here.
Parker into the passing lane to pick it off. And one.
San Antonio is just outworking and out hustling Seattle at this point. Nate McMillan can only stew.
Everybody in France is up watching Tony Parker. It's a lot later, but you can see they stayed up for the homeboy, and he's putting on quite a show for everybody.
And Tim Duncan, who has nurtured Parker, as have all of the Spurs, and it's paying dividends for them here in the playoffs.
The one thing that Tony Parker learned early was get the ball to Timmy. I get the ball to Timmy,
and good things happen.
A pro at 17 years old in France. and mature beyond his years here in the NBA.
How come they don't criticize the international players for not going to college?
Where did that come from?
He said he was a pro at 17.
Wow, look at him.
Better watch what he's doing.
This is a clinic against Gary Payton, who had a marvelous season. He's just getting by him time and time again, throwing up circus shots. Prayers answered all afternoon.
Well, but when it's your day, those kind of shots go in. And he started with some solid play early in the ball game, and everybody on the San Antonio Spurs bench waving at him. And I guess that's really a heat check, Bill. When you got your teammates and they're all saying, just keep doing it. Can't make a free throw.
Free throw. What's wrong with him?
He's doing fine. Cut the guy some slack, Tom.
8 points in the last 4 minutes.
They're ahead by 25 points here.
You just asked about his education, and you're talking about cutting slack.
Shammond Williams into the game for the first time. James returns. 8-0 run has given the Spurs their biggest lead. Williams didn't need to warm up. He just puts it up and in along the baseline in the final 30 seconds of the third quarter.
But think about the pitch, the shutout that Parker's throwing at Payton here in the quarter. 8 points to nothing. And you add that on with this total at the break.
17-year veteran Terry Porter in the Sonics huddle. He was set to come in the game a moment ago, and Greg Popovich, his coach, came over and had a word with him. And before that, earlier in the game, they were in the huddle over on the bench, and Popovich had some words for Porter.
You got any rebounds yet? Me neither. I'm not out there counting to see how many rebounds I got. That's not why I signed you? No. It was in the fine print.
Life is good when you have a big lead in the playoffs. You can joke around a little bit. Greg Popovich keeping his team loose. And he does have a rebound, by the way.
He does one. But when you look at what Greg Popovich has done in terms of assembling this team, he's got nothing but quality guys, wonderful characters, top to bottom, and they're playing like champions today.
No look from Daniels results in a Duncan slam.
Well, for the Seattle Sonics, if they've gone to the reserves, what they got to do is come up with something in the final 12 minutes that will give them some hope for Game 4. It is not to be this afternoon. They have really been manhandled, and Payton has been shut out here in the third quarter.
1.4 on the clock.
Shut out, not a single point for Gary Payton after being down 20 at the half.
Down 20. He had 16 at the break. He still got 16, Bill. I don't know about your processor.
I thought you were very good at that. Oh, God. Actually, just got one shot. Meantime, the rookie, Tony Parker, has equaled Duncan's point performance. He has 18 in the quarter to Payton's none, and he has 23 in the game.
And we are hearing some boos here from the crowd.
Well, they came in a celebrating mode, and you helped them out with the shirts. And that's all been helped. Well, Payton stays in the ball game. And, you know, I'm not sure that Nate McMillan is trying to, rebuild his game as he has been shut out here in the quarter, but he's got to find some way to get Payton to energize their attack. 8 on the clock.
Gary Payton, first or second half basket. He has 18.
What Seattle has to do is build some momentum here, try to find their game again. They don't play again till Wednesday. That will be Game 4. Game 5, if necessary, on Friday of next week. What a pass.
Three to shoot. And a foul underneath.
Trouble for big guys is moving their feet, and when they're running out and somebody is coming at them, they usually end up giving them a hip, getting a piece of the body. As we take a look at Richard Lewis, who's only hoping by Wednesday that he'll be able to get back in action. And that is a dejected-looking bench.
For good reason. Daniels got the roll.
Antonio Daniels, who was a non-factor down in San Antonio, come out and played very well today. that the move to start Malik Rose really helped the Spurs. He's come out and just played, as he always does, with such incredible tenacity.
7 for him.
You just don't see much emotion on the faces of the Sonics. They don't want to play right now.
Well, the Spurs took a lot of their enthusiasm away.
It's a long game, though. These games are endless.
Only when the score is like this. Duncan has 25.
What are you saying? We could play until next week in this one, and Seattle couldn't get back in this game. They need a fresh start.
Payton, front rim, right back to it. Still can't hit.
Well, remember what they said about Payton in game 1. He did not look like the Gary Payton who was confident, who had the swagger, who was doing all of the big things for them. He bounced back in game 2. He started that way here in the first half, but never recovered from the taste of the Frenchman, Tony Parker.
But San Antonio is a very good team. Even though they finished second in the West, the stronger of the two conferences, this is a team that at one point in February and March went through a real tough 16-game stretch because of injuries to Bruce Bowen and Danny Ferry. They went 6-16 in those games, 6-10, excuse me, in those games that the two guys missed with the concurrent injuries, a broken finger and a bad back. Now they got everybody healthy with the exception of Robinson. They look real good today.
Well, Ferry is out again, and they're checking that hand. It looked like he jammed that right hand again, the one he fell on earlier.
James too hard. Bowen, by the way, sprained his finger. You saw that finger taped up as he sat on the Spurs bench. And a loose ball foul call. There's the, see the finger taped up. Got one on taped on each hand, the finger.
Well, the one on the right hand is the broken finger.
And then the sprained one on the left occurred today.
Next, you'll tell us, Bill, that you don't need your hands to play, though.
No, you need your hands, you need your feet, you need your back, and you need your brain, you need your heart.
Duncan behind the backboard.
And you need luck.
Duncan with 27 points.
He came into the series averaging 26-6, so he's at his number, and he's gotten a lot of help this afternoon, so it's been a comfortable win for San Antonio thus far.
It's a 30-point game, Tom.
What about this on the line for Duncan? 27 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 blocks. James muscling in, and he got it. Jerome James, the young man from Tampa, Florida, who did not play high school basketball. He had 9 brothers and sisters. He worked at a dairy after school, unloading crates. He was muscular, didn't think he would ever play basketball because he didn't have time. He had to help support his family. Spotted by Florida A&M.
Got a spike for you as you've been taking all these awards in around the country.
Yeah, 39-0, that was pretty special, especially because it was my senior year, you know, and it was a great way to go out. I don't even know if it's really sunk in, but we've been traveling a lot in the last month, doing a lot of things, a lot of appearances, a lot of banquets, and I'm just happy to be in Seattle.
Now you're 21 years old. Tony Parker is 19. You met him before the game. You're older than Tony Parker. He's having a great game today. Did he give you any indication this was going to happen?
Well, he was smiling a lot, talking about how they lost the last game, so I don't know. I'm not really surprised by the way he's playing.
Now Bill Walton sent this shirt over here for you. Going to give you this. Will they think you're nuts if you take this shirt, this tie-dye shirt back on campus?
To UConn? I don't know. Probably, but I'll still wear it. Thank you.
Good luck to you this season in the WNBA, Sue.
Very much. Thank you.
Another Bird. This one in the WNBA hopes to do what the other Bird did in the NBA, Tom.
And Seattle Storm fans looking forward to seeing Sue in action. As we pointed out earlier, WNBA coverage on NBC begins on Memorial Day. I think Sue and Tony Parker were speaking French before the game.
Well, the revolution was over before she was born, Bill.
Oh, yeah, she doesn't even know. Javon Williams hits the 3. Just tell her peace and love, Jim. That's all she needs to know. Tim Duncan sits down. for the Spurs with 27 points, tops in the game, 13 rebounds, tops in the game, 5 blocks, tops in the game. Just missed.
It's come to that, huh, Tom? The just missed game?
In the final 7 minutes of play, the Sonics need to see their game re-energized. This guy, Shamar Williams, is a guy that can make shots. And maybe he'll be the guy in game 4 that will come in and give them a spark.
This has just been such a frustrating afternoon for Seattle. They seemed so determined yesterday. They were going to come out and just play great and out-hustle them. And nothing has gone their way today as they have been torched.
But remember, Nate McMillan told us, I really can't tell which team is going to show up. I'm not sure from game to game and moment to moment. And in game 2, I got the team that plays well. And in game 3, I got the team that doesn't.
Did you notice that outside shot there by Terry Porter? Great ball movement for San Antonio to find the open man. Outside shot.
Is there a mercy rule in basketball?
What, on you or on the opposition?
20 points now for Gary Payton. Antonio Daniels gets a free pass to the rim.
Well, it's falling apart right now for Seattle. Nate McMillan, he's got to call a timeout. Or maybe he's just going to let the clock run out so that he can get out of here, because the fans are starting to boo and the breakdown completely. This could have lingering effect. They got to get back to work, Seattle.
You know, you're very popular in Seattle anyway. I can imagine this would only enhance your popularity in the city. To win game 2, 98-90. So in the final analysis, it'll just be one loss. They'll be down 2-1, but the margin factors only into their psyche.
But they have bounced back every time they played Portland. You gave the 110 score on April 20th, and then they lost back in November, 110-93. They came back and after that and won a couple of ball games. So they know that they can play with this team if they play the right way.
Air Drobniak earns a trip here.
It was Floor Drobniak then as he got stripped and will go to the free throw line.
But the problem that Nate McMillan is facing is that his guys have lost their hope. And
backdoor Drobniak from Cisse.
What Nate McMillan is pleading for is a level of professional responsibility, because if the players don't show that they care, how are the fans supposed to get into it? A number of them have left already.
Yeah, but I think realistically the fans have given up on this ball game, and they're getting ready for game 4. I mean, they got 2 games here, and they want to go back to San Antonio and play the final game down there. So, you know, there's nothing they can do for the final 450 but get ready for game 4. And the reserves who didn't get to play and may not get to play in game 4, they get a chance to play now.
Fans never give up on players that give a visible effort. That's all fans want.
Drobniak. Rebounded by Antonio Daniels.
The one area that Malik Rose has improved on is the ability to make perimeter shots, and he hasn't really gotten a lot of quick looks.
Terry Porter up against the shot clock at them. He's made a major contribution, not only with that 1 rebound, but also some big shots.
Well, and his contribution, too, comes in intangible ways, like leadership.
That's why they got guys like Terry Porter, Steve Smith. Try to mentor these young, talented stars here. Antonio Daniels, Tony Parker.
One of the guys that was playing a lot when you mentioned that 16-game stretch where they had the injuries and Bowen wasn't in, is Charles Smith. He's in the ball game now, and he will replace Terry Porter.
Livingston missing a quick shot.
And Tom, we can see what Bill's work with the Clippers has done with Cherokee Park.
How is that not a
Parks with a head fake and puts it home as Gary Payton watches pensively. This has been a Gary Payton that changed his MO from an angry young man this season after being counseled by Nate McMillan, who told him bluntly, if you don't change your attitude, you'll be traded. I need you to nurture these young guys. You're the veteran now. I need you to lead. And he did change, and he's done a wonderful job of leading the young guys. And then, as Bill mentioned earlier, they got to game 2 after being blown out in game 1 in San Antonio, and his dad and his coach, Nate McMillan, said to him, we need that swagger back. It came back in game 2, and they were able to win in San Antonio.
I think Gary Payton has been the brightest story in the entire league this season. The attitude transplant that he had, the resurgence of this franchise. 2 bleak years up here. Tickets, a lot of tickets left unused, unsold. Now it's happening back here. The excitement around the city down at the Pike Street Public Market today. People were ready, and the team, boy, came out and laid an egg.
So that'll be up to Payton to rally this young team to get their heads back on straight and to come out ready to play in game 4.
Well, they have to take it. It's just the statement should be it's just one game. We lost the game. We lost that opening game down there. We were beaten soundly, and we bounced back. And we can do the same thing at home.
We have seen San Antonio in this position before. Remember all those years they used to play against Minnesota? And Minnesota would always get one down there in San Antonio, and then they'd go right up there to Minneapolis and spank him, get woken up there and put the hammer down. And we just have to see what it's going to be like in game 4. But
Cherokee Park says we take a moment to remind everybody that a week from today, one of the great moments in all the world of sports, and that is the Kentucky Derby. First leg of the Visa Triple Crown. It'll be on NBC 1 week from today from famed Churchill Downs.
Back in Seattle, I'm Jim Gray. The Spurs lead by 30 over the Sonics. I'm now joined by Mr. Al Payton. This is Gary's father. Gary calls him Mr. Mean. Well, Mr. Mean, you got after Gary pretty good after game 1. You're going to have to get mean tonight, aren't you?
Double. We're going to have a long talk tonight.
How did you get him straightened out after game 1?
Well, I told him how the kid played on him. He didn't give him no respect. We in this league as long as he is, he got to get respect, and he know how to get respect. You got to be physical. You got to talk to him and be physical. Get on him from end to end. Let him know that, hey, who's the boss? You know, hey, I admit he's young, but he's not that great.
Are you surprised at the performance of Tony Parker against Gary?
Yes, against my son I am, but I'm not surprised the way the young man plays. He's good. To be a 19-year-old, I don't think there's a 19-year-old in the league better than him. But still, my son can handle him.
Why does he call you Mr. Mean?
Well, I used to spank him a lot when I'm a coach myself, you know. And when they don't do what I say, I have to get on them a little bit. Not in a physical way. Not a physical way, but I get on him.
He's gonna get a verbal spanking tonight, huh?
I'm gonna get him tonight.
All right, Mr. Mean, we look forward to seeing game 4.
I sure will. I'll be here next game.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Payton. Tom?
All right, Jim, could we get him to talk to Walton?
You know, whenever a father says long talk, you're in for trouble. So Payton does not want to see his dad tonight.
I'm sure Mr. Mean is scratching his head and saying, I came up all the way from Oakland for this?
Gary looks like he knows what's coming.
But now you got a situation where San Antonio, what do you do with David Robinson? You got game 4, you got a game 5 for sure in San Antonio on Friday night if you need it.
I think you have to think further ahead than that. I think you have to say, the way things are shaping up, the Lakers are their next opponent. They need David Robinson against the Lakers more than they will need him to maybe put away the Sonics.
And I don't think that this thing with David Robinson, the back injury, I don't think that's a real day-to-day injury. It's more long-term. You have the kind of medical procedures that he's had. You're talking serious stuff here.
Oyedezi with a bad-looking free. Next Sunday at 8/7 Central. Don't miss your favorite NBC faces from past and present as they come together for a live, one-time-only party. NBC's 75th anniversary special next Sunday at 8/7 Central here on NBC.
Oyedezi, they just missed.
30 seconds of game 3. Hard to believe that the Sonics at one time led 11-2, and it looked like they were going to run the Spurs right out of the gym.
Yeah, they had an energized start. They started extremely well. Another foul, this one against Cherokee Parks. He's looking around like, what happened? But this is one of those games in which San Antonio got a rhythm, got themselves into it, and Baker and company just could never recover. They stayed on the perimeter. They didn't have the patience offensively, didn't move the ball, didn't move themselves. They paid a price as Tony Parker kept San Antonio in the ball game early, and then it was Duncan and friends taking over.
What did Karl Malone tell us last week, first day of the playoffs? The measure of a man in this league is how many times you get back up. You're going to get knocked down, and that's happened today to Seattle. Let's see how these guys respond. The ball has gone the other way all afternoon. Now we're going to see just who these guys are. Seattle's best player.
Dropniak deflects and intercepts. Cisse. Daniels tight ropes down the sideline, trying to dribble his way out of trouble.
One thing that, you know, Popovich is going to tell his guys is, hey, guys, I gave you all the chance to play in that game. Some of you didn't show me much, and, you know, we're going to go back to work, and you guys that didn't play well are going to have to work harder. And Nate McMillan's going to tell his guys,
Final 28 seconds. The San Antonio Spurs getting superb performances from Tim Duncan and Tony Parker in game 3 to take a 2-1 edge in this best-of-5 series. 10 seconds.
Oh my gosh. It's come to this.
Seattle will close with only 2 players in double figures. Payton had 20. 7 rebounds and 6 assists. Vin Baker had 10 points, but just 1 rebound.
And the interesting thing about Baker is he had the 10 at the break and never got anything else. So after a pretty good start for Baker, he struggled from that point.
Tim Duncan had 27 points, 13 rebounds, 5 block shots, 5 assists, did not commit a foul. And Tony Parker just to his left, 23 points on 10 of 15 shooting, 5 rebounds and 4 assists.
Nice to see that Tony has learned where to sit on the bench.
The youngster learns quickly. Other players in double figures for San Antonio. Malik Rose had 14 points and 9 boards. And Antonio Daniels on 6 of 10 shooting, 15 points and 4 assists.
Were you insinuating something with that comment, Tom, about learning quickly?
No insinuations needed. So a resounding road victory, completing a sweep for the road teams in NBA playoff action today, as the San Antonio Spurs beat the Seattle Sonics 102-75 to lead the best-of-5 series 2-1. And let's go to Jim Gray with the stars of the game.
All right, nothing but smiles and laughs here. Tony, you had 23 points today. How did you manage to come in to this game and totally dominate Gary Payton here on his home court?
I try to attack him, try to pressure him because he was not play really good defense. So I tried to attack him, and our team was just good today. You know, it was a very important game, a huge game for us, and we tried to get motivated and try to get going right away.
How have you found such composure at such a young age in such a pressure-packed situation?
Well, because I play since 15, I play professional in Europe, so I try to get a lot of experience, play with older guys. I try to learn, and that's why I got a lot of experience now.
27 points, 15 rebounds for you, Tim. Team goes down 11-2 in the first few minutes of this game. How did you manage to stabilize energized the team, and what ignited you so that you guys could sap their energy?
They came out real strong, real excited. The crowd was behind them. We just knew we had to keep fighting back into it. It wasn't like the game was over. It was the first couple of minutes. They got up big, but we just kept going at it. And T. Parker did a good job of getting down low, penetrating, finding shooters, and really made a lot happen, made them squeeze in there.
Tim, how important was this victory? Because we're told today by Peter Holt, your owner, that David's doing better, was able to exercise more today. Now it may not be necessary for him to have to come back to Game 4. Now, does this buy him some time?
It does buy him some time, but still I hope he's able to come back for the next game. But if he isn't, we're going to hold court for him. It's great that we got this one. Hopefully we can get the next one and be ready to go.
Gentlemen, great game by you both. We look forward to seeing you continue. All right, Tom, back to you.
All right, Jim, so the Spurs win in Seattle 102-75. NBA on NBC playoff coverage continues tomorrow at noon Eastern with 3 teams looking to sweep their first round.